Welcome to the Casuals Guide to UFC Fight Night Moreno vs. Royval 2, where I show you filthy casuals why this card is going to be a banger. The UFC touches down in Mexico City, and the UFC has stacked this card with a bunch of Mexican talent, especially young Mexican talent. So hit that like button and subscribe, and let's get right into it. In the main event, number 1 ranked the Assassin Baby Brandon Moreno runs it back against number 3 ranked Brandon Raw Dog Royval. Former flyweight champion Brandon Moreno is coming off a loss to the current champion Alexandre Pantoja. His last 6 fights have been title fights, which is just insane to think about. He won the title when he defeated Davison Figueiredo on 2 different occasions. He is a tough boxer with a great submission game. 11 of his 21 wins are by submission. He was originally going to fight Amir Albazi, but Amir pulled out because of a neck injury, so Royval would step in on about a month's notice. Brandon Royval is one of the most unorthodox fighters I have ever laid my eyes on. His striking and his grappling are funky, but very fun to watch. He is coming off a title shot where he would lose a unanimous decision to Alexandre Pantoja. These guys fought back in 2020 before either would ever challenge for any title. The fight would end in the first round when during a grappling exchange, Royval would dislocate his shoulder and couldn't defend the ground and pound that Moreno was inflicting, and the ref would stop the fight. It wasn't the most decisive ends to a fight, but now destiny has made sure to allow us to see the true ending to this fight. Both guys are always game, solid boxers with some slick grappling. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it's actually insane to me that Brandon Moreno is a year younger than Brandon Royval. Both guys are still in their primes and have time to make more runs to the title, but it all starts here. Don't miss out. In the co-main event, number 2 ranked featherweight Yair El Pantera Rodriguez runs it back with number 4 ranked Brian T. City Ortega. These guys got matched up back in the summer of 2022. This fight didn't last very long due to a shoulder injury sustained by Ortega in the very first round, very similar to the main event. Ortega was coming off a decision loss to Alexander Volkanovski, and he has not fought since the injury against Yair. This will be his first fight back since then, and Yair, on the other hand, went on to win the interim featherweight belt against Josh Emmett when he would lock in the triangle choke. That would earn him a clear shot at the undisputed title, but his fight with Volkanovski to unify the titles would not go as he hoped. Volkanovski was just too good everywhere, and he would land a huge right hook that floored Yair, and some brutal ground and pound would end the fight. Both guys are hoping to get back to title contention with a win here. El Pantera is a long-range striker. He uses his creative strikes to batter his opponents. His kicks are a thing of beauty. He put himself on the map with a highlight knockout over Andre Fili. He would put his mark on the featherweight division with an insane knockout over the Korean Zombie, where he would land a nasty elbow from a very unique position. Probably one of the best elbows I've ever seen. He's going to have to keep his range because Ortega has made his name with his grappling. 7 of his 15 wins are by submission. He got his name T-City with his triangle choke. He put himself on the map with back-to-back guillotine wins over Renato Moicano and Cub Swanson. He would earn himself a title shot with a highlight knockout over Frankie Edgar. Both these guys hit the Max Holloway hurdle and lost, but both guys are exciting fighters looking for another chance at the title. Don't miss out. I know you casuals hate women's MMA, but this fight is going to be awesome when Yasmin Wagigi takes on Sampage Hughes. Yasmin is a 24-year-old prospect out of Mexico who was on an absolute roll. And I'm just going to put it out there. She's kind of fine. There, I said it. I'm not scared.
Yeah, that brother's starving.
Yes, sir.
She put herself on the map when she faced off against Yasmin Lucindo, where they delivered an action-packed fight. She would win by unanimous decision, and she would follow that up with a tough showing against Istela Nunes. She was hurt badly in the very first round, but was able to get it together to win by TKO via ground and pound in the second. She showed some next level toughness, but once again, we see the same thing with these Mexican strikers. They all get hit way too easily. They have a ton of firepower, a ton of offense, always throwing strikes, but their defense is always lacking. And we saw a clear example in Yasmin's latest fight against Denise Gomez. Gomez came in with a huge shot that landed flush, and instead of backing up and creating space, Yasmin tried to fight fire with fire and resulted in her getting finished 20 seconds into the fight. It was a rough showing for her, one she is going to look to bounce back from against Sam Hughes. Sam is 8-5 and has been kind of up and down in the UFC so far, but she has been but she's kind of been catching her groove recently, going 3-1 in her last 4. She has a majority decision win against Estela Nunes. She would follow that up with a TKO win over Elise Reed. She would lose to Piera Rodriguez by unanimous decision, but in her last fight, she would get a decision win over Jacqueline Amorin. Although she's not the most technical, she can grind out a fight, and if you're not prepared, she will drown you. Yasmin Wagigi looks to bounce back in her home country, but Sam Hughes will look to play spoiler. Don't miss out. The bangers just do not end when Manuel El Loco Torres takes on Chris the Problem Duncan. You casuals most likely do not know these guys, and that's a shame, because these guys are must-see TV. Manuel Torres is 14-2 with 7 wins by knockout or TKO and 6 by submission. In case you failed your little math class, that means only 1 of his wins have come by decision, and this guy is a savage finisher. He earned his contract on Dana White's Contender Series when he knocked out Colton England in the first round. He would make his official UFC debut against Frank Camacho. In a fast-paced first round, he would eventually land a 2-punch combination that floored Camacho and ended the fight. In his most recent fight, he would land an even nastier finish when he would land a huge elbow that sent Nicolas Mota flying into the shadow realm. He suffers from what most Mexican prospects suffer from. His striking defense is not good. He is very hittable, and he has absorbed some very big shots. He's going to have to tighten up because he's up against a great finisher in Chris Duncan. Duncan is 11-1 with 7 wins by knockout or TKO and 1 by submission. He also earned his contract on the Contender Series with a big knockout. His UFC debut was a close one, but he edged out a split decision over Omar Morales. In his last fight, he would win a unanimous decision win over Yanal Ashmus. He looked good, but he's going to have to be great to beat Torres. Both guys are exciting fighters, ready to break through. Will El Loco be able to have another crazy highlight finish? Or will Duncan become the problem in Manuel's plan? Don't miss out. Mexico's biggest prospect returns when El Niño Problema, Raul Rosas Jr., takes on Pretty Ricky Turcios. You casuals definitely know Raul, but might not know Ricky. Let me enlighten you. Ricky made his way into the UFC through The Ultimate Fighter when he would win the whole thing when he defeated Brady Heiston by split decision in the finals. He would lose his next fight to Ayman Zahabi, but he would bounce back in his last fight when he would win a split decision win over Kevin Natividad. It's very obvious what kind of fighter Ricky is. He is not the most technical guy, but man, this guy is an absolute dog. He is a grinder. If you don't finish him, you better hope your cardio is on point because he is relentless. He is only 30 years old, but he is over a decade older than his opponent. The 19-year-old Raul Rosas Jr. has been on fire. He made serious waves when he would win his UFC contract on the Contender Series at only 17 years old. He would add to his hype when he made his UFC debut against Jay Perrine. It would only take him 1 round to find the submission via rear naked choke. This exploded his popularity. But with the whole world watching, he would stumble in his next fight. He would be matched up with another young prospect in Christian Rodriguez. After a very strong first round where Raul would be in some very dominant positions, Rodriguez started to take over the fight. Round 2 and 3 went to Christian, and Raul would lose his first professional fight. This sent Raul back to earth, but it was for the best. After refocusing, he would bounce back when he fought Terrence Mitchell in his latest fight. The grappler was expected to win this by submission, but he would shock everyone when he would end the fight with his hands. After landing a huge shot that dropped Terrence, he would mount him and unleash some nasty ground and pound that ended the fight. This has put Raul back on track, and now he's looking to rise to the title with a win over a very durable Ricky Turcios. Will Pretty Ricky be able to derail the hype of Raul, or will Rosas Jr. prove to be the division's problem child? Don't miss out. Young Hispanic prospects clash when the 24-year-old Daniel the Golden Boy Zel Huber takes on the 21-year-old Argentinian Francisco Prado. For the filthy casuals that don't know who these guys are, let me enlighten you. Zel Huber earned his UFC contract on the Contender Series when he defeated Lucas Almeida. His UFC debut would not go as planned, as he would lose a unanimous decision to Trey Ogden. He would bounce back with a huge decision win over Lando Groovy Veneta. In his last fight, he would continue his momentum with a great submission win over Christos Diagos via Anaconda choke. And man, this guy is huge. He is 6'1" at lightweight, and he has 7 wins by knockout or TKO and 3 by submission. He is very exciting and he is always game. A big issue for him is that he's very hittable. A big issue for him, like the other Mexican prospects, is that he is very hittable. But in his defense, he has shown some real toughness. But he is facing another great finisher in Francisco Prado. Prado is 12-1, 6 wins by knockout or TKO and 6 by submission. He made his UFC debut versus Jamie Mullarkey, where he would lose by unanimous decision. But he would bounce back in his latest fight where he would get a huge first round finish when he would TKO Otman Azatar. Both guys have experienced their first loss at the highest level, which will only help them in the long run. Both guys are very exciting and both guys are very game. At 14-1, Zel Huber is looking to prove that he is the golden boy of Mexican MMA, while Francisco Prado is trying to put Argentinian MMA on the map. Will Prado be able to spoil the party in Daniel's home country, or will Zel Huber prove that everything he touches turns to gold? Don't miss out. Alright guys, that was my rundown of the card. I hope you casuals learned a thing or two. A few of the fights you casuals should look out for are Edgar Chairez versus Daniel Lacerda. This is another rematch on the card that's been getting booked and over, and it looks like it's finally going to happen. Also, Mexican prospect Luis Rodriguez makes his UFC debut against Dennis Bondar. Lastly, Jesus Aguilar takes on Mateus Mendonça. There are a lot of Mexican prospects on this card that are fun to watch, and they are all in their home country, so maybe some of them will feel the pressure, maybe some of them will break out. Hopefully they do a lot better than Canada did, but it's going to be a great night of fights. Don't forget to tune in, and I'll see you next week. But until then, protect your neck and take care.
They talking crazy about you. They said
brother,
they smash
who
you.
cares? Who cares, brother? Who cares, brother? Who cares? Today, smash.